Huh? It normally makes a sound to say it started recording, so I don't know if it's recording or not. We can hope. Hopefully it's recording. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today we are reading His Reasons. It's a Todoroki X-Reader fanfic by AshleyH713. Today is part 19. We are reading season 3, chapter 1. This will be posted March 30th. I've learned there's March 30th and 31st. So, I'll record those two today, because I have time. I'm probably gonna get some sleep, because I'm tired. I'm always tired, though. I don't think going to sleep earlier changes that. They're outside the door, like, listening to me record. And it's a lot harder than thinking, like, I just think of this as something that's not going to be posted, and I post it, I'm like, oh well, too late now, haha. But now there's actually someone, like, currently listening, so it's a little more awkward, I suppose. I would wait for him to go downstairs, but something tells me he's not going to be doing that for a while, so. Let's begin. Season 3, Chapter 1. Reaching her hand in her pocket, Amari looked at the caller ID before jumping from the sofa, now quickly running upstairs and shutting her bedroom door. It was a call she had been waiting for. She ran her fingers across the button before picking it up. Hey Doc, took you long enough? Although the man on the other side could only groan. I swear, Amari, you aren't the only person in this world. Cut me some slack. Amari could only roll her eyes, though, quickly getting to the point. Yeah, I get it. Do you have the results? A moment of silence could be heard over the speaker before he gave a soft sigh, now with an apparent rustle on the other side. I wouldn't have called if I didn't. I swear, kid, you are more annoying by the day. The soft sound of paper turning appeared as he spoke again. Explain your symptoms again? Glancing down at her nails, Amari took out her bottle of pills before shaking them. The amount of dosage to activate my quirk has increased like crazy. It used to take 1, but now it takes up to 5. And the effects only last about 15 minutes. The doctor nodded his head through the phone, scribbling down her words. Any other changes in ability? Placing the bottle on the desk, Amari ran a couple fingers through her hair. Yeah, it seems like when I try to lessen my intake, my heart feels like it's going to explode out of my chest. I get fatigued really easily also. That can't be good, right? Although, another moment of silence appeared as she nervously tapped her fingers on the desk, waiting for his response, although the line was silent. After a couple more seconds, Amari started to become impatient. So, are you going to tell me what's up or not? Isn't that your job? His voice returned soon after that. I don't think you're going to like what I'm about to say. The tapping on the desk stopped as Amari leaned forward, now slightly what's the plural word for that? Now slightly anxiety? That's not how that would be said. Now slightly anxious. What is it? Just tell me already. How do I fix this? Sighing heavily, the doctor read the file. I got the results back from the test you sent, and it seems like your body is starting to reject the medicine. That's why you are experiencing fatigue. Amari felt her grip tighten around her phone. This was what she feared. It seemed her small, little hourglass was running shorter and shorter now. I figured, how much longer do I have? Taking another small silence, the doc finally spoke. If you keep pushing at this level, it seems that the medicine will become completely ineffective in less than 4 months. Amari felt the world spinning around her all at once. She thought she had a little more than a year, but it seems like reality was even far more cruel. 4 months? Was that it? She was going to die in 4 months? Feeling her voice shake, she replied, 4 months? Are you kidding me? Isn't there anything you could do to prolong it? But the doctor only narrowed his eyes, leaning back on his chair. Kid, you knew this was coming. Stop acting so surprised. Did you forget the agreement you signed 9 years ago? This wasn't going to be forever. Closing her eyes in devastation, Amari spoke. Yeah, I know. It's just, I'm finally closer to Katsuki, and... Although he only cut her off. And what? Wasn't that your goal from the very start? If you completed it, then there's no other reason for you, is there? Suddenly her mind flashed to Todoroki's face as her eyes fell. No. Nodding his head, the doctor continued, now a slight malice in his voice, coaxing her. Good. Of course, you could always just drop using pills, but then that would make you quirkless and frail again. Do you really want to give up your quirk and be hospitalized for the rest of your life? Don't you want your dear brother to love you? I can hear her running outside. Recalling the day at the mall, Mari already knew her answer. Katsuki had finally recognized her as strong enough. There was no way she was going to become a quirkless loser like him. To him. What? Obviously tired. She'd rather die. No, I won't give up. The doctor smiled through the phone then. There. Now there is no problem. Is that all you need me for, or did you have some other important task you want me to drop everything for? Shaking her head, Amari muttered, No, that's all. Thanks, Doc. Then without listening to the reply, she hung up the other line, now staring at the floor. Why was the universe so cruel to her? She had done everything in her power to become strong, and finally had she done it. Katsuki respected her. Todoroki loved her. Everything was finally perfect. She supposed all things couldn't last forever, though. Sometimes she had to wake up from this dream. Shaking her head, Amari then covered her face with her hand, willing the tears not to leak down her face, or else Bakugo would know something was up. Now was not the time to cry. She had work to do. After composing herself, Amari made her way back down the stairs to find Katsuki watching TV on the sofa silently. She took in his features, burning them into her mind for the time she had left. It was now or never. Noticing her presence, Bakugo called out, Hey brat, you left the TV open, so now it's mine. Don't even try to whine about it. You got that? Although, Amari could have cared less about the TV. Instead, inching closer. It's okay. You can have it. A couple moments of silence passed before she spoke again. Hey, Katsuki, can I ask you something? Groaning in annoyance, Bakugo muted the screen before locking his eyes with hers. Hurry up, I'm watching this. Now feeling a sense of anxiety, Amari placed a hand behind her head, now rambling out her words. Right, sorry, I know you're really busy and everything, and I probably shouldn't even ask after what happened with the sports festival, but I was wondering, if you don't mind, well, you probably will mind, but even so. Hearing her nonsense was making him even more irritated, though, causing his response to come out a bit rougher than usual. What the hell is wrong with you? Spit it out already, I swear. It's not that hard to form a normal sentence for once. Amari gasped at that, feeling herself grow even more nervous. Maybe this was a bad idea after all. Sorry, I didn't mean to annoy you. Just forget it, okay? She turned to leave and Bakugo immediately felt bad. Why was she always so jumpy around him? Was she really this nervous to speak to him all the time? It didn't even make any sense. Standing up, Katsuki reached forward and wrapped his hand around his sister's arm, pulling her back. Hold on. Where do you think you're going? You have something to say, then say it already. If you have something to say, then say it already. Choosing to stare at the floor, Bakugo tried a different approach. She really did seem scared of him. Never mind. You can take as long as you want. Just don't act so nervous all the time. Would ya? It's just me. Mari blinked in surprise at his response. It was rather strange for him. She wasn't used to this kind of response from him. Okay, if you really don't mind. Groaning loudly, Katsuki was trying to keep his patience with her, but it was becoming more and more difficult by the moment. I already said it was fine, brat. What did you want to ask me already? A small moment of silence appeared before Amari tried again, staring at her brother. I was wondering if you could show me how to control my explosions. Bakugo couldn't help but be surprised at this. Last time they tried this, it failed miserably. What? Are you kidding me? After you made me look like a damn fool at the sports festival? Did you lose a few brain cells? Flinching at his words, Amari answered. I'm still sorry about that, Katsuki, but back then I did what I had to win. You know you would have done the same thing also. What I said about my explosion quirk, though, it wasn't a lie. I still can't control them without my emotions going haywire. Although Bakugo wasn't having any of it, still feeling the sting from the sports festival. Do you really expect me to just drop everything and train you again after you screwed me over in front of the entire country? He did have a point. What right did Amari have to ask this from him? Although she couldn't help but still desire it. To finally embrace that side of her she was always ashamed about. It was something she always longed for. Taking a deep breath, she spoke. I know it's foolish and I don't deserve it, but I don't want to be afraid of that part of me anymore. Last time at the sports festival, I was holding back because of a strategy, yes, but that wasn't the whole truth. The real truth was I was holding back because I was scared. Amari then took another step closer to her brother, passionate now in her eyes. Katsuki, I don't want to be scared anymore, because I'm a bakugo. And you said it yourself, right? Bakugos aren't scared of anything. I want to finally live up to our name. I want to be stronger. He honestly couldn't believe what he was hearing. Katsuki was still bitter about the stunt she pulled at school, but then he recalled her breakdown using the explosion for the first time. It really wasn't fake, then she actually couldn't control them. Groaning to himself, Bakugo ran his fingers through his hair, already regretting what he was about to say. I swear, I'm going to regret this. Amari blinked in surprise, not fully understanding. Wait, is that a yes? Although Bakugo only shook his head, speaking back roughly. Listen, brat, you better not pull that kind of crap you did last time. Don't even think of wasting my time again. Nodding her head enthusiastically, she beamed back, smiling her usual goofy wide grin. She never really expected him to say yes. Thank you, Katsuki. I promise. I'll give it everything I have. I'll make you proud. Bakugo couldn't help but recall when she said those words to him last. It was back before the Hosa attack. He didn't know why, but he didn't like that phrase. It's like it brought an ominous omen with it. He scoffed in response, pushing her head down roughly. Damn right. It's about time you stopped acting like a wimp and half-assing it. Frowning slightly, Amari huffed. Hey, I wasn't half-asking it. I can still kick your ass just as well with one quirk. Although Katsuki only smirked back. Kick my ass? Is that what you call it? Seems more to me like it's been the other way around, brat. You can't beat me even if you had 10 quirks. Crossing her arms across her chest, she replied, That's starting to sound like a challenge. I'm not sure you really want to do that. Bakugo then took a challenging step forward to her, looking down at her small form. He couldn't help but feel excited about her fire, her passion. You watch. Once you finally start to use your explosions, we will finally see who is the strongest. And it's gonna be me. All out. No holding back. Amari quite liked the sound of that. Their banter couldn't help but make her smile. Well then, challenge accepted, dear brother. Her smile seemed contagious, creeping into Bakugo's face as well. As much as he hated seeing his sister get hurt, he also somehow really liked the idea of the two of them being an unstoppable team. The strongest of them all. Yue's not gonna know what hit them once they get a load of us. Nodding her head, she replied back, Hell yeah, just wait until they get a hold of the Bakugo Dream Team. At the terrible nickname, Katsuki groaned, now shaking his head in disapproval. What did I say about the stupid-ass name? If you ever call us that in public, then you're dead. Amari then let her arms fall, remembering his last words at the mall. Sorry, still working on it. Shaking his head even more. Mitsuki? Couldn't help but catch her eye on her two kids as she headed down towards the kitchen. They looked to be smiling and laughing together, which made her chest lighten all at once. Truthfully, their mother was worried about the two ever since they were little. Having Amari stuck in the hospital wasn't just hard on her, but rather their whole family. She also knew he didn't want to admit it, but Katsuki had taken it the worst. The fact that they were twins was more prominent than ever now, and she couldn't help but be thankful for it. Calling out to them, Mitsuki spoke. I'm going to the store for a little while. Amari, sweetie, stay close to your brother. The twins turned their heads to her all at once, the blonde-haired girl not liking the request. Ah, come on, Mom. I don't need Katsuki to babysit me. Although her mother wasn't having it. Just the last couple weeks you've been hurt and threatened by villains. This is not up for discussion. I just want you to stay safe. Frowning, Amari was about to object again when her mother walked up to her, placing a light but firm hand on her face. Amari, please. You're going to give me a heart attack. Promise me you'll stay safe. After that statement, she knew she couldn't object anymore. Amari didn't even have the heart to tell her that her worries wouldn't matter in a few months. She didn't even want to think of her mother's broken expression when she found out she died. Feeling her own eyes fall, Amari sighed in defeat. I understand. Mitsuki seemed content with her words, now reaching forward to kiss her forehead. Good. Thank you, sweetie. I know it may seem foolish since you fight villains anyway, but I don't want to lose you again. I finally got you back. Her daughter couldn't help but feel a small line of tears build up at her words, now knowing that she would lose her again. The woman just didn't know it. Yeah, I know. I'll be careful, Mom. Nodding her head, Mitsuki then turned to Bakugo, her expression changing all at once. Katsuki, make sure you take care of your sister, and don't you dare be rude. Bakugo, eyes could only twitch though, scoffing all at once. Whatever, you old hag. Just get out already. Mitsuki frowned at that, but let it slide for now. Knowing that her son would keep his word, she could trust Amari with him. Once she disappeared, Bakugo crossed his arms over his chest. Why do you always agree with everything that damn woman says? Would it kill you to have a backbone once in a while? Although Amari's eyes only grew a bit more sullen, Bakugo not understanding the reason. It's not that. I want to make her happy. What she said was partly right. She wanted to see her mother as happy as possible before that harsh reality hit. If that meant giving in and letting her brother babysit her today, then so be it. Bakugo still didn't understand, though, rolling his eyes. Whatever, brat. Now get your ass to the backyard. Blinking in surprise, Amari didn't follow. Huh? Why? Yet her brother only scoffed, already making his way towards the sliding door near the back of the house. We're training, so hurry your ass up. Amari processed his words, now remembering her request. They were going to start right now? You shouldn't expect that. Wait, right now? Rolling his eyes once more, he replied, Yeah, idiot, I'm stuck here with you anyways. Might as well make use of the time, that is, unless you're too chicken now. Thinking for a moment, she couldn't help but smirk. He was challenging her again. She moved towards him, suddenly remembering the phone call with the doc. Soon these little small moments between them would have to end. Amari stopped then, staring at her brother's face once and somehow felt herself grow far more emotional. She was going to miss him most of all. Knowing his eyes, Katsuki didn't understand the reason for her silence, though, waving a hand in front of her face, a couple feet away. Hey, brat, what the hell are you waiting for? Let's go before I change my mind. She felt the world come back to life just then, and in one motion she ran towards her brother, her everything, and hugged him tightly, almost knocking the boy over. Regaining his footing, Bakugo looked down at his sister. What the hell are you doing? Get off me! Although she wasn't listening, only tightening her embrace even further as she tried to capture and keep his voice in her mind forever. Katsuki. Narrowing his eyes in concern, Bakugo couldn't help but grow still as he heard his sister speak again, this time small and quiet. I love you. Katsuki touched her shoulder lightly, still very confused to what was happening. Why was she suddenly declaring her love for him, like back at the USJ incident? He didn't deserve her love. He didn't want to hear those words. Speaking back, her brother replied roughly, Stupid, what are you even saying? She was silent for a moment before pulling away, an unreadable expression on her face. I mean it, Katsuki. Thanks for not giving up on me. Placing a hand to the back door, her brother sighed. How can I when you're always in my way? Seems like I have no choice. Amari smiled then, knowing her own stubbornness very well. What can I say? It's a family trait. This caused a small smirk to form on her brother's face as well. Realizing that she was kind of right. Stubbornness did run in the family. As much as I dislike it, I guess that's why you're my twin. Hearing him call her his twin made her bubble with happiness on the inside. It was like a dream come true. Bakugo Dream Team? Although he only groaned, already pushing her out the back door roughly. Shut up, we are never calling ourselves that. And yet somehow Amari couldn't stop laughing at the idea, now seeing a tiny smirk from her brother as well. Now this was the kind of relationship she'd always dreamed about. She just wished it could last forever. The next day approached quickly, and Amari couldn't help but groan, feeling slightly sore from her training with Katsuki. They hadn't even started practicing her explosions yet, and she already knew he wasn't holding back. Just regular combat training was pretty rough. Rubbing her arm a couple times, she reached into her backpack for her study guide. remembering that they had their written part of their final exam tomorrow. She reached the bottom of her bag only to find nothing there. That was strange. She was sure she placed the study guide in here. Frowning, she lifted herself from her chair and debated asking Katsuki if she could borrow his, but then she remembered that her brother was never one for taking long notes. She highly doubted his way of studying would help her. Amari thought for a moment before a very familiar boy popped into her mind, and she sighed. As much as she didn't want to bother him, Todoroki would probably have an extra somewhere. He was always really studious. She pulled out her phone in a single motion and debated the idea for a moment before giving up and pushing the call button. She needed to go to this training camp, so failing wasn't even an option. It rang for a couple moments before his plain voice echoed into her ear. "Amari, what is it?" Suddenly growing slightly nervous, she replied, "Oh, hey Shoto, I'm sorry for bothering you on the weekend, but I was wondering if you had an extra study guide on you. It seems I've lost my other one at school." The line was silent for a moment before he replied, "I do." Smiling to herself, she couldn't help but think his short way of answering was always cute. "Great. Do you think I could pick it up somewhere? I'm sorry for asking, but I really don't want to fail this test." Todoroki answered back shortly, "It's all right. I don't mind. Would you like me to bring it to you?" Shaking her head all at once, Amari didn't want that. "Oh, no. That's okay. I wouldn't expect you to do that. I can pick it up. Where are you right now?" They paused for a moment. What? Never mind. He paused for a moment, like he was looking around his location. "I don't think that's such a good idea. I'm at home." Blinking in surprise, Amari realized that what that meant and began to backtrack. "Oh, never mind then. I don't want to intrude. Sorry." Although Todoroki's voice returned quickly, realizing that may have come out wrong. "No, it's not you. You wouldn't be intruding. It's just, well, you'll see when you get here." He really seemed against the idea of her going to his house, but Amari wasn't exactly sure why. Could it be because of Endeavor? She could handle him. "Are you sure? If you're really uncomfortable with it, then..." Yet the boy only shook his head, groaning internally. "No, it's all right. Besides, you're not the one I'm worried about." Raising up from her chair, Amari answered, "If it's about Endeavor, don't worry about that. I can behave. Maybe." It seemed that still wasn't the problem, though, as Todoroki only sighed. "It's not that. Never mind. I'll pull you out the study guide right now. See you soon." Amari nodded her head and hung up, still not really understanding why he was so against her visiting his house. Well, one thing was for sure. She was about to find out. When Amari reached Todoroki's house, she couldn't help but gawk at the absolute massive size of the estate. She knew the family was rich, but this was overwhelming. The place was lined with Japanese-style windows and floors from the inside out, with a large security box next to the giant gate. It was a little nerve-wracking, to say the least. She pushed a button on the box before it came to life, the voice sounding male. "What is your purpose here at the estate today?" Looking side to side, Amari clutched her bag tightly. I'm here to see Shoto. He already knows I'm coming." The voice disappeared then as the giant gate opened, allowing her to walk through. As she passed by the large entryway, she couldn't help but catch the sight of a small little garden to the right. She leaned down to look at the flowers when a very familiar voice caused her to look up. "Amari, you're here." Bringing herself back upright, she smiled at the boy, waving slightly. "Hey, Shoto, your house is really, He answered for her, though, sighing. "Don't worry about that. Come on, the study guide is in my room." Amari nodded her head slightly and began following the boy through the corridors, now noticing a couple maids whispering harshly as they passed by. They seemed to be staring at her for some reason. It kind of made her feel uncomfortable, like she didn't belong. Suddenly, another voice entered, causing them to turn around. She was an older woman, with white hair spotted with specks of red here and there. Amari didn't know why, but she kind of reminded her of Todoroki. "Shoto, quit running so fast. You know Dad doesn't like it." He stopped then as she approached, her eyes locking onto the small girl carefully before realizing that she was indeed, in fact, a girl. This made her mouth drop open in utter excitement. "Oh, and who is this?" Amari bowed in respect at the woman carefully, not knowing who exactly she was, but still wanting to be polite. Hello, my name is Bakugo Amari. It's nice to meet you." The girl blinked in surprise for a moment before her eyes grew wide, shouting all at once. "Wait, you finally brought a girl home? Hold on, this is big. I have to call..." Natsu? I don't know how you pronounce that. I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry. I don't know how to pronounce that name. I'm going to say it's Natsu, but yeah. I have to call Natsu right now. Our little Shoto is growing up so quick. I can't believe it. She turned to leave when Todoroki grabbed her arm, pulling her back to reality and groaning. This is what he was afraid of. Stop it. Fumi? Fiomi? I'm gonna say it's Fiomi. Fumi? You are going to make her uncomfortable. I don't know how to pronounce that name either. I'm sorry. And uncomfortable she was, but the woman didn't seem to care, instead racing forward to grab Amari's hand. Now tell me, are you his girlfriend by any chance? The blonde-haired girl felt her cheeks grow red with embarrassment as she nodded her head, causing the woman to go into a frenzy. I knew it! So that's why my Shoto's been all distracted lately. I see now. She popped my wrist. Todoroki saw the display and felt his own cheeks redden at her words, forcing Fuyumi's hands off of her. He didn't want Amari to know about how much he thought about her. I said stop it already. Although the woman rolled her eyes, ignoring the boy altogether. Oh, calm down. I just want to get to know your girlfriend. Sorry, I probably haven't introduced myself. I'm Shoto's sister. I'm gonna Google how to say that after this video. Fiomi? I don't know. Forgive him. He's always so grumpy all the time. Mari couldn't help but laugh at her words. I wouldn't say that. The boy only shook his head, though, already trying to get out of the situation as quickly as possible. Don't instigate her. She'll only get worse. Frowning at her brother, Fiomi? Yeah. Then began to circle Amari, noticing her size. She's cute, Shoto. I hope you're being a perfect gentleman to her and all. I don't know what you see in him, but please take care of him for me. Amari laughed nervously, but poor Todoroki was only getting more embarrassed by the second, shaking his head in exhaustion. We are not talking about this right now, if you would excuse me. Grabbing her hand, the boy turned away from his crazy sister, only for Amari to smile back, enjoying the woman's over-the-top energy. It was nice to meet you. Never mind, waved her hand back. Hey, wait. Where are you going? Don't get jealous, little brother. It's not a very attractive trait to have. But Todoroki wasn't listening. Instead, he kept dragging Amari down the hall until they were out of sight. Once she was gone, he huffed out a huge sigh. I apologize. My sister can be over the top sometimes. I'm sorry if she made you uncomfortable. Taking in his flushed out expression, Amari couldn't help but laugh, causing him to frown. Don't laugh at me. But unfortunately, that didn't stop her in the slightest, smiling at his cute face. I'm sorry, but you look as red as your hair right now. Are you embarrassed? Shaking his head, Todoroki tried to cover the area with his hand. Of course not. She just always says the most outrageous things. This is what I warned you about. I knew she would go crazy once she saw you. Staring at his face, Amari brushed a couple strands of hair out of his eyes before replying. So that's why you didn't want me to come over? Todoroki nodded, causing her to smile a bit more. The truth was, he didn't want to subject her to that level of embarrassment yet. Although, now that I think about it, she kind of reminds me of you sometimes. Amari's smile dropped then, slapping him across the shoulder playfully. She hated to admit it, but he was right. I guess you're right. I do say things without thinking sometimes. This caused his brow to raise. Sometimes. Her words earned him another hit in the shoulder. The girl scoffed. Okay, all the time. Don't call me out like that, though, would you? Looking down the long hallway, Amari thought about something else. So it's just you and your sister, then? Todoroki thought for a moment before nodding his head. At the moment, it's only me, my old man, and her. I do have another brother, though, although he's in college at the moment. Amari took in his words, realizing that she really knew next to nothing about his family besides his abusive past. It was kind of like he was letting her into his world, a little. She then noticed of two large doors, back to back. They somehow looked ominous, calling to her at once. What's in here? She stopped then, staring at the surface with some kind of disdain. Mari decided to call him out for it. Something was wrong. Shoto, are you okay? Sorry, I shouldn't have asked. Running his fingers across the wood, he couldn't help but sigh. This is where I would train as a child. My darkest memories are in here. Mari widened her eyes then, realizing that this was the place where his father beat him, trained him until he could barely breathe. This place, it was like a large cage to him, wasn't it? Placing a hand onto his shoulder, Todoroki spoke again, dark and low. When I was a child, I was separated from the rest of my siblings. That's why we don't share the same traits. Her stance softened, thinking about her own brother because of that sentence. It seemed like they were more similar than she thought, both of them being a black sheep of the family. Looking at the door, Todoroki was surprised when it started to open, revealing the space in question. He hadn't seen it in years. I keep getting a text from someone, but I don't know who. Amari, what are you doing? The girl ran to the center of the space before pointing at him in challenge. Come on, Shoto, let's duel. He stepped into the cage willingly, now seeming vaguely confused. What? Placing her hands on her hips, Amari grinned. This place has bad memories attached to it, right? Well, the one thing you can do now is rewrite it with good memories. Todoroki still didn't understand. Good memories? Asked when Amari reached into her back pocket and pulled out her pills. Yeah, I'm about to give you the memory of me kicking your ass. Come on, let's go. Seeing the pills in her hand brought an uneasy feeling in his stomach. The last thing he wanted to do was push her. You shouldn't be so reckless. You already said your pills don't last as long. Save your energy. But the girl only scoffed, emptying the contents in her hand. Sounds to me like you're afraid of losing half and half. Besides, we haven't trained together in a while. I could use the practice. Don't you want to be number one? Swallowing 5 pills, Amari then lifted her hand out, forcing him to fight as a large gold ring appeared under his feet. Show me how good you are, Shoto. Todoroki jumped out of her way just in time, throwing a large ice shard in her direction. If she wanted to play that way, then so be it. Amari smiled at his participation, covering her body in gold matter before racing towards him all at once. He blocked her hit only for her to land another punch towards his stomach, causing him to groan. You like that one? Katsuki taught me that. Wincing at the hit, Todoroki flew his eyes towards her, causing the girl to crash onto the ground a couple feet away and hitting the hard floor. She stood back up then, racing towards him again when he grabbed her shoulder, causing her to wince. He had just touched where Bakugo had hit her last. The boy noticed this and stopped immediately, pulling back. Are you okay? He reached out to her in concern as Amari smirked, grabbing his hand and throwing him to the ground in a single motion, her body now pushed on top of him. Looks like I win. Although Todoroki wasn't convinced, narrowing his eyes in disapproval. I think that's cheating. Yet the girl only shrugged her shoulders. If you don't approve, then get out of it. Amari laughed then, thinking she had won when she felt herself being flipped around. Now pinned to the training mat in a single motion. She hated how good he was sometimes. Frowning, she tried to break away but found his body on hers rather difficult to move from. No matter how much she yearned for it, he was still stronger in terms of muscle. Touché. This earned a smile from the boy, looking down at her all at once. Looks like I win. Rolling her eyes, Amari replied, Yeah, don't get all cocky, tomato boy. His fingers began to trace a couple strands of her hair, causing her body to shiver, now realizing the position they were in. That's when he touched her shoulder once more, causing her to wince again. Your shoulder. What happened? Sighing heavily, Amari replied, Oh, that? I've been training with Katsuki, and he's not going easy on me. It's okay, though. I've had worse. Cardigan? He fiddled with her It says cardigan. Buttons, then, concerned for her safety. He hoped that Bakugo hadn't gone too hard on her. May I see? Amari nodded her head, pushing the fabric to the side only to reveal a large purple and blue bruise on her shoulder. It looked pretty nasty, to say the least. Running a couple of fingers across the bare skin, Amari flinched at the contact, only for him to pull away. He always hated how far she went for her brother. She was always getting hurt for him. He really wished she would stop doing that. He eyed the bruise sadly, causing the girl to reach her hand up to him. Hey, stop that. I'll never get stronger if I don't push myself. Please don't look so sad about it. Although Todoroki couldn't help but frown, letting his fingers trace the skin again. You can't tell me not to worry about you. Of course I don't want you to get hurt. I cared too much about you for that. Then, as if to prove a point, he leaned down, pressing his lips against the exposed bruise, causing her sharply intake at the contact. A soft shiver running down her spine as her skin began to burn from his touch. Pulling away, he took in her flustered expression and began pushing a couple strands of hair out of her face. If I could, I would take away all of your scars. You've been through enough. Closing her eyes at the motion, Todoroki leaned forward again, this time kissing her lips softly as if to prove his love to her. She didn't deserve any more pain and suffering, and he wanted to make sure of that. Kissing back, Amari lifted her hand up, running a couple strands of hair through her fingers as she remembered that terrible phone call. She only had 4 more months to enjoy this feeling, and then it would be gone. They pulled back then, breathing heavy as Amari touched his own scar, lining her fingers across his face, which earned another shiver from the boy. I feel the same. I will do everything in my power to make sure you don't have to go through such sad memories again. Then she grabbed his face lightly before pushing him down onto her lips again, smiling through the kiss softly, as if to prove her words. Todoroki was surprised by the action, closing his eyes as well, and feeling his hand snake closer to her waist and hip, wanting nothing more than to have this moment last forever. Suddenly, Fuyumi's voice came back, loudly from the other side of the door. Shoto, Bakugo, I brought some snacks. Where are you? Breaking away from each other, Todoroki sat up, allowing her to do the same, and fixed his now messy shirt. The last thing he wanted was for his sister to find out that they were making out. He would never be able to live that down. Amari could only smile, though, putting a finger to his lips, as if to remain quiet. I guess we should go. Nodding his head, the boy agreed, helping her off the floor before exiting the training room quietly and shutting the door behind him, still reeling from the moment. They reached his room soon enough as Amari picked up the study guide that laid across the table quickly. Thanks. I guess I should probably go. I wasted enough of your time already. She turned to leave when Todoroki lightly stopped her. It's all right. I was just going to study anyway. Besides, if you aren't doing anything, maybe we could study together. Staring at his table, Amari put her hands out, quickly replying, yeah, sure. We could do that, as long as you don't mind or anything. Todoroki just nodded his head, now sitting down on the small table before patting the spot next to him. Well then, let's get started. Rushing over to the seat, she plopped herself down next to the boy before opening the study guide and reading it quietly. It was about an hour of silence before Todoroki looked up from his book when he felt a light weight lean onto his shoulder. Glancing to his left, he gently called out her name, hoping nothing was wrong. Amari? Although all he got was silence from her, head lolled to the side in a single motion. Had she really gone to sleep like that easily? Maybe training with Bakugo really tired her out. Todoroki didn't seem to mind, though, as he let her keep her spot on his shoulder, silently going back to writing like before. He tried doing that, but after a couple of minutes he couldn't help but feel himself grow more and more relaxed as well, closing his own eyes for a moment. Fuyumi slowly creeped to open the door, only to find her dear brother, and Amari slumped together and sleeping peacefully, resting their head on one another. When was the last time Shoto looked that calm? She didn't know, but she couldn't help but silently thank Amari for the result. Carefully pulling her phone out, Fuyumi smiled as she snapped a picture of the sleeping couple, wanting to capture this moment forever. After everything their father put them through, she was relieved to finally see him happy. A loud thud shook the two awake, hearing the door slam a couple rooms away. Amari stirred first, blinking softly as she noticed a small puddle of drool on Todoroki's shirt. Gasping barely, she quietly tried to wipe away the evidence when he flopped his eyes open, noticing her touching his shirt. Amari? What are you doing? She jumped back at his words, laughing slightly. Oh, nothing. I didn't mean to fall asleep like that. I guess you couldn't study then. He opened his mouth as if to reply when a loud voice echoed through the hall, causing the two of them to freeze. Crap, it was Endeavor. She had totally forgotten about him. They locked eyes with each other as Todoroki's bedroom door flew open, revealing the number 2 hero himself, looking less than pleased. He took one look at Amari and scoffed. What are you doing here? Frowning at his tone, she replied sarcastically, It's so great to see you two, Endeavor. Watching his brow twitch, the man pointed his finger towards her in warning. I already said I don't want to bother with you anymore. I don't associate with ones that were expelled. This couldn't help but make her laugh. And whose fault is that? Although Todoroki's father wasn't having any of her attitude. Yours, for acting so childish. Now get out of my house. I already said I am not a babysitter. At the blatant disrespect, the boy couldn't hold his tongue anymore, standing up to protect her. I invited her. She's my guest, so you can't kick her out. Yet Endeavor only scoffed. This is my house, Shoto. I can kick out whoever I please, and whoever I deem unworthy. Letting her eye twitch, Amari turned around. Hold on, did you just call me unworthy of being in your house? Wow, you really are the worst. Nodding his head, the boy's father lifted a hand out in warning. You have 5 seconds to leave before I drag you out myself. You can take Shoto with you. I don't want to deal with such unruly children. Amari thought for a moment before debating to make him throw her out, but that would also hurt Todoroki. She had lived so long without a home and parents. There was no way she was going to cause the same thing to happen to him. Puffing her chest out, the girl replied, Fine, I'll leave, but not because you told me to, because I can't even stand to be in the same room as you. Quickly grabbing her bag, she turned to leave when Todoroki ran after her, now looking frazzled. Amari, wait, I'm sorry about that scumbag. Although she only shook her head, placing a loving hand to his cheek. It's alright, it's not your fault. You're related to him. As much as I hate him, he's your father. I'll call you when I get home, okay? Todoroki nodded his head, watching his eyes fall as the warmth of her hand disappeared. This was all his fault. If only he had a normal family, then maybe she wouldn't have as many problems to deal with. Then maybe they could be normal. Okay, I'm gonna go Google how to say a couple names. Or a name, I don't know. I think I'm gonna Google the brother's name too. And then I will come back and do another video, and then I'll get some sleep. Because I've always been talking too much today. I am starting to taste blood. So yeah, that's not a good sign. Check her out. She's got good stuff. Link will be in the description. And you will hear me in the next video. Bye!